Will a Congress-led government seek wealth redistribution? Is this simply a weapon of mass distraction by Prime Minister Modi? What did Rahul Gandhi mean by revolutionary steps? How is income inequality to be best addressed in this country? Joining me now is Shehzad Poonawalla, the BJP's evergreen spokesperson. Praveen Chakravarty is also a member of the Congress's manifesto committee, heads the All India Professionals Congress. Shankar Iyer, political economist, joins us, and Prasenjit Bose, left-leaning economist, is also with us. Thank you all very much for joining us. Shehzad Poonawalla, you've heard the former Home Minister and Finance Minister saying, look, we never even mentioned redistribution at any stage in our manifesto. The Prime Minister is distorting what the Congress has said. Your response, sir?
First of all, to all your viewers, Hanuman Janmotsav ki shubhkamnaएं, Bajrang Bali ki jai. I hope that is allowed. And let me move on. I hope you will redistribute the time, at least on your panel, whether or not the Congress wants to redistribute wealth, because you gave 20 minutes to Chidambaram ji and now the panel is 3 versus 1. So I hope at least you will not interrupt me and you will allow me to have my say in counter to what Chidambaram said. When Chidambaram told you that inequality has increased in the 10, 20, 30-year period, Rajdeep, without taking too much time, did you quote to him the Gini coefficient figures of 2014 and 2024? Yes or no? Do you know what Gini coefficient does?
I'm showing the wealth inequality in India. The wealth inequality in India is very clear. The top 1% today has much more wealth. World Inequality Lab. No. Mr. Poonawalla, you asked me a question. I'm giving you the reply. I'm telling you the wealth inequality in India shows 33.3% 2022 compared to 16.1% the top 1% wealth. Now please go ahead.
You know, Rajdeep.
Please go ahead, sir.
Rajdeep, on a lighter note, I've had a bet with somebody on the lighter note, I've had a bet with somebody that every time you interrupt me, they are going to pay me 5,000 rupees. So you're going to make me a very rich man today.
Okay, go ahead.
So anyways, let me come to the point. Had you quoted to him what is the economic measure for measuring inequality, that is the Gini coefficient, you would have perhaps told him, Mr. Chidambaram, in 2013-14, under your leadership, it was 0.489, and today the Gini coefficient has come down to 0.402. The closer it is to 0, the better it is for equality. The closer it is to 1, it is towards maximum inequality. You didn't quote that. Then Mr. Chidambaram patronizingly told you that in the last 10 years, and then he added 20, 30 years, inequality has increased. Perhaps Rajdeep Sardesai would have shown him these figures that you're flaunting on screen, and you would have asked him which are the maximum 5-year or 10-year periods in which the share of national income in the top 1% increased with the maximum rate. Let me tell you, 1987 to 1992 and 1992 to 1997, both these periods were non-BJP governments where it increased from 10 to 27%, the share of the total national wealth in the hands of 1%. By the way, in 2017 to 2022, it has come down marginally. But Rajdeep Sardesai did not ask him, and when you were asking him 1 or 2 questions, Chidambaram accused you of interrogating him. That is tolerance for you. I don't think he'll be able to stand in front of a debate with Prime Minister Modi. He should deal with me. By the way, Rajdeep Sardesai, did you also ask him that under the 10 years of him as the Finance Minister and Home Minister and his government, how much did the gross national income increase? Because in my government in the last 10 years, the gross national income is increased for every citizen of this country by 287%. Per capita incomes have doubled. Now let me come to the major points I'm making, and I hope you will not interrupt me. Where did Rahul Gandhi say, as Mr. Chidambaram was saying, that we are going to redistribute? I think India Today is a credible organization. I am quoting to you India Today, 7th of April 2024, headlines: Congress to conduct wealth redistribution survey if voted to power. Then the India Today news report goes on to say, and please, I quote India Today, Mr. Arun Puri's group, financial and institutional survey will be conducted in a historic step to ascertain the distribution of wealth, quoting Rahul Gandhi. This makes it amply clear that even though it may have not been put in white and black in the manifesto, Mr. Rahul Gandhi did hint at this, and Mr. Chidambaram has not put many things in the manifesto. For example, the revocation of CA, which he is now saying verbally. So everything that is there in the manifesto is not the only thing. You have to also go by the statements of Congress.
Okay.
By the way, when we go by the statements of Congress or by the manifesto statements,
you made a point. No, Mr. Poonawalla, you made a point. You made a point that Praveen Chakravarty, who's part of the manifesto, should reply.
20 seconds to make the final point.
Yeah, okay. 20 seconds more. Go ahead.
Just 20 more seconds. By the way, for some additional knowledge, Mr. Chakravarty can tell you that on page 7, para 7, on point number 5 of the manifesto and on page number 29 of this manifesto, ideas relating to redistribution of land and incomes have been alluded to, and Congress has done this in the past. In 1976, they revoked the right to property, which was a fundamental right. They imposed the Urban Land Ceiling Act, and Mr. Sanjay Gandhi used to grab lands whenever he used to like it. And also the compulsory deposit scheme was introduced by the Congress in the 60s and 70s, wherein the incomes and the salaries, a portion of it was compulsorily deposited in bank accounts. It was done under Indira. So this is not something that is
okay.
new to
Your
the
time is up,
this
Praveen.
Is Congress's history also.
Praveen, respond to what you're hearing. The charge which is being made by the BJP very clearly is whether, even if you don't use the specific words redistribution of wealth, based on what Rahul Gandhi said in Hyderabad, based on your allusions in your manifesto, some form of redistribution of wealth is needed to address income inequalities.
Rajdeep, the Prime Minister of India, in a public speech, said, and I'm quoting him exactly, the Congress party in its manifesto said that they would take away gold and private wealth from the rich and give it off to a certain section of people, and he alluded to a religious section, a religious minority. Now, I want to ask, where in the manifesto did he read that? Did he actually read the Congress party manifesto, or did he read somebody else's manifesto, or did he read at all? So in the 48 pages, 31 topics, 315 points in the manifesto, there is absolutely no mention of any such thing. So where did the Prime Minister get this from? So did he lie? Yes or no? Did he lie to the people of India? Yes or no? Next, let me tell you. The last time, we are a constitutional republic still. No government can go into someone's home and take away your watches and television sets and your assets and give it off to somebody else. Having said that, in the last 30, 40 years, there was only one instance when the government of India, the Prime Minister, attacked private wealth of citizens. That was in November 8th, 2016, when the Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, your money belonging to you, I am going to take that away and invalidate it from the next day. That is called attacking private wealth. That is called taking away people's wealth.
What is the revolutionary step, though, Praveen, that Rahul Gandhi speaks about? Specifically, what is this revolutionary step?
Okay, so let me talk about inequality. It's an economic idea. Now, first of all, let us all accept that world over this is a problem. Okay, let us not quibble over whether it was 0.43 in somebody else's tenure and 0.40, and I mean that's for the people. That's for people who are numerically illiterate. Okay, inequality goes up, has gone up everywhere. Now, what is the solution for it? We have listed very concrete solutions. First and foremost, Mr. Rahul Gandhi said, let us find out. Let us find out what the extent of inequality is, and we do that through the socio-economic caste census, the X-ray of Indian society and economy. Once we find out, how do we bridge this? Do we all agree that if OBCs, Dalits, and tribals constitute nearly 3/4 of India's population, there should be proportionate rewards for them? Just like we say gender, women are 50% of population, we all agree that we should aspire for equal proportional representation. It's a very standard philosophy that every just society will aspire for. How do we do it? Economically, I'll tell you the ideas that we have. We have very concrete ideas for jobs. We have very clearly said we will reject jobless growth. We have very clearly said we will reject monopolies where wealth gets accumulated. We have very categorically said that we will reshape what's called in economics, the capital-labor balance. And that is how we address this inequality, through proper, well-researched economic policies, not through political rhetoric.
Shehzad Poonawalla, what Praveen Chakravarty is saying is the Prime Minister lied to the country. He's effectively saying the Prime Minister did the dog whistle of suggesting that not only would wealth be redistributed, but minorities would be getting your wealth, including your Mangal Sutra. Let's be very clear. Did the Prime Minister of India no less lie to the country, Shehzad? I want a clear answer from you.
It will come, but it will come in few sentences, so don't interrupt those sentences. First of all, I think, Rajdeep, you should have Praveenji on the board of India today, because if he can write a print copy and your journalists are unable to, and they quoted Rahul as saying that they want to have a scheme for redistribution of wealth, then clearly you should fire the person who wrote the 7th April article and also quoted Rahul saying that there will be a financial and institutional survey which will be done to ascertain the distribution of wealth. Please hire Praveen Chakravarty immediately and make him the editorial consultant for your channel.
Sir, did the Prime Minister lie to the country?
Quite a few of them.
Sir, did the Prime Minister lie to the country?
I am coming. I am not, Rajdeep, I am not going to say that you are interrogating me.
Yes.
I am not Chidambaram. So don't worry. And my 5,000 rupees are getting deposited every time you interrupt me. So please hold on. Yeah. Then Rajdeep, Mr. Chakravarty lied on your face and said that we have never done such things in our government. I just quoted, when was right to property removed as a fundamental right? Rajdeep, 76 में तो मैं chiclets खाने की भी स्थिति में नहीं था. आप तो journalist थे. बताया नहीं इनको राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी कब अबॉलिश हुआ. आपने कंपलसरी डिपॉजिट स्कीम का भी नहीं बताया क्या? मैं तो चिकलेट्स खाने की स्थिति में नहीं था. आप तो सीनियर जर्नलिस्ट थे. ही टोल्ड यू दिस लाई ऑन द फेस एंड यू एक्सेप्टेड इट. चलिए, आई नाउ कम टू द प्राइम मिनिस्टर स्टेटमेंट. What wrong has Prime Minister stated? Let me give you the facts. Data के साथ बात करता हूं मैं, इधर उधर की बात नहीं करता हूं. Karnataka Congress government increased the taxes on temples. My gold is kept in those temples. 445 crores was taken and 330 crores was spent on minority welfare. I have just one question. If they have this revolutionary plan, इनसे पूछिए ना कि institutional survey और financial survey करेंगे तो वक्फ is the third largest holder of land in this country. वक्फ की land redistribute करवाइएगा. लार्ज फार्मर्स ऑफ पंजाब एंड हरियाणा उनकी लैंड रिडिस्ट्रीब्यूट करवाइएगा. पूछिए राहुल गांधी से कि अपनी वेल्थ, नेशनल हेराल्ड वाली वेल्थ रिडिस्ट्रीब्यूट करवाइएगा. और राजदीप जी, इतना फैसिनेटिंग आइडिया है ना, हाउ मच यू अर्न एज पर मंथ सैलरी? Why don't you redistribute your wealth among some journalists if you are fascinated by this idea? I think you should start this charity from home. Let them start this charity. Praveen Chakravarty should redistribute his wealth also. And I have given the figures of Gini coefficient. Not one figure has been given by Praveen Chakravarty. This is the same Praveen Chakravarty. By the way, he's talking about equality and inequality. Let me quote to you Praveen Chakravarty, what he has said to Karan Thapar about inequality and poverty. When Karan Thapar ji asked Praveen Chakravarty that how much will your 1 lakh per unemployed and 1 lakh per woman scheme cost, he said it will cost 5.5 to 6 lakh crores for 5 years, which means 1 lakh crore per year, which means that if you give 1 lakh, that means you're giving only to 1 crore unemployed and poor people. That means, according to Praveen Chakravarty, only 50 lakh are unemployed and 50 lakh are in the poor category. So Praveen has accepted that the number of poor are less. If you don't believe me, I can play the video of Karan Thapar, but वो conflict of interest हो जाएगा आपका. conflict of interest नहीं करना है.
Praveen now respond.
Karan Thapar को यही बोल रहा है.
Before I go to my other two guests who will I seek solutions from, Praveen, you want to respond once again to what Shehzad Poonawalla has been saying, that please give hard numbers. A, to suggest that income inequalities have grown in the last 10 years compared to when the Congress was in power, and B, whether your leader Rahul Gandhi at some stage or the other has been speaking about redistribution of wealth.
Rajdeep, hard data is there in the World Inequality Database that Thomas Piketty and Lucas Chancel, they don't do it just for India, they do it for the whole world. They maintain an entire data set, and I can get into the technical details because what perhaps the other person who was talking does not know is India does not measure income.
No, Mr. Poonawalla, let him finish. Please go ahead.
India does not measure income. So the India does not measure income. We use consumption as a proxy. Okay, so the share of top 1% has gone up. Now, I've made it very categorically clear. Let us not even quibble about whose tenure has gone up and whose tenure has gone down. There is a problem in the world. There is a problem in the world that, as the United Nations acknowledge, certainly there's a problem in India. Let us not be an ostrich burying our sand in our heads as denying the problem. That's number one. Second, I still did not get a clear answer. It was a very simple answer. Did Prime Minister Narendra Modi lie? Yes or no? Because he categorically said it is in the Congress Party manifesto. I have the manifesto in front of me, 48 pages of it. It is not there. Why did he lie to the country? That's a very, very clear question.
Rajdeep, let me answer this
15 seconds. 15 seconds, Shehzad Poonawalla. Did the Prime Minister lie? Seconds. This is the third time I've asked you on the show.
Yes, Rajdeep, and I'm answering also third time only. Rajdeep, was the CA revocation bit put in the manifesto of Congress or Chidambaram said it verbally?
No, no,
Chidambaram said it
you're
verbally, or did
changing
he
the
put it in the
goalpost,
manifesto?
Mr. Poonawalla. You're changing the
No,
goalpost.
no,
The Prime Minister of the
5,000,
country in his
5,000,
manifesto
5,000.
says that
See
the
how many
Congress in his
5,000s are getting
manifesto is
deposited
going
in
to
my
have...
account. Rajdeep, let me complete. Rajdeep, let me complete. Let me complete. मेरा 5,000 बढ़ते जा रहा है. Now, Rajdeep, I exposed this Praveen Chakravarty. Not everything is said in the manifesto. By the way, they don't call the manifesto. They call it Nyay Patra. So tomorrow they might say it's not manifesto, it's Nyay Patra. What illogical baby arguments are these? I asked him to give me the data or inequality. Suddenly he says, inequality kiske samay pe wo chhod do? Are kyun chhod de? If you are the problem, how will you give the solution? Today my Prime Minister has given 10 crore Ujjwala cylinders. My Prime Minister has given 12 crore toilets. My Prime Minister has given 12 crore tap water connections. My Prime Minister has given 3.5 crore people houses. 25 crore people have come out of poverty, and my Prime Minister has a track record of removing people out of poverty. He did not give Garibi Hatao ka slogan. And Praveen, I am asking you once again, how much is your 1 lakh per woman and 1 lakh per unemployed going to cost? You tell me, sir. I am a baby. I don't have any facts.
Okay.
You said 1 lakh crore, which means what?
I've
1
heard
crore
both
benefit
sides.
schemes, which means what? 50 lakh unemployed and 50 lakh are poor.
You've changed
Data
the
se baat karo, bhai.
you've
Aap
changed the
data scientist
goalposts when I asked you a specific question on what the Prime Minister said in that rally. But I want Prasenjit Bose and Shankar Iyer to give me. You're looking at political voices who will have their own perspective. You, Prasenjit, first. Let's accept income inequality is a problem that existed pre-2014 as well. It may have worsened. Many believe in recent times, at least as figures have been quoted by the World Inequality Lab in terms of amount at the top 1% corners. But is there a solution? Is there a magic wand out there? And is it really a debate that has to be done through policy intervention?
So Rajdeep, I would request you to be slightly more generous about the time that you give. I think that this debate over inequality should be fact-based. Unfortunately, the spokesperson of the ruling party, he was short on facts. He was just going on repeating all kinds of political allegations and
no, he's also giving but Prasenjit is also giving.
All over the
he's
world.
Claiming, look at the various welfare schemes that the Prime Minister has initiated.
I am saying that first you have to understand that the inequality problem is not specific to India. It's a global problem. There is very serious economic research work that is going on across the entire world. There is a wealth of data which shows that over the past 3 to 4 decades, inequality which had come down in the post-Second World War period has started rising from the 70s, 80s especially, and it has now reached to unprecedented levels all over the world. Within the G20 countries, especially within BRICS, which are comparable to India, India has the worst record, and I insist that it is the most unequal country within the BRICS. The entire data is available in the public domain. Many people have researched on it, written on it. The BJP spokespersons, all of them are semi-literate, and they are also liars.
What's the solution?
Liars.
No, Mr. Prasenjit, what's the solution? Without name calling, what is the solution?
So
there are no
magic.
Give me the solution. Rahul Gandhi is saying he's going to conduct a socio-economic caste survey. Is that the solution?
Inequality increases also because of policies like jobless growth. If you have growth but not adequate employment, you will have rising inequality. So your growth process has to create more jobs. That's one very big aspect. Second, your tax policies. If you give tax cuts like what this government did, in one stroke they brought down the corporate tax rate, they slashed it to such an extent that lakhs of crores of revenue was lost. So lakhs of crores, they are talking about welfare schemes of Modi government. I will tell you, the Food Security Act, because the census has not taken place, you are actually depriving 20 to 30 crore people who should have been brought under subsidized food grains. They have been deprived of it by this government, and the money that could have gone to give them cheaper food, that has been given to the big fat cats who are indulging in crony capitalism and looting the nation and sharing the spoils through electoral bonds. That is also wealth distribution.
Okay.
That is wealth distribution from poor to the rich. You don't seem to have any problem with that redistribution. So
Okay.
now when the Congress party, having realized that this is a problem, is talking about redressing it, why obviously the Prime Minister, who is another compulsive liar, he is now bringing Hindu, Muslim and communal issues to divert attention that he is responsible for this crony capitalism.
Okay.
His party has taken money
Okay,
through
you made-
electoral bonds.
Okay, I want to come back.
Corruption.
Okay.
They are the biggest, most corrupt party in India.
Okay. No, you
And
know,
they
that
have
beyond the rhetoric,
benefited
let me come to the fact.
corporations,
Sir,
Adani,
just
Ambani, and taken crores of money from them through Benami companies, through electoral bonds, and they today have the temerity to talk about all these communal issues. The election commission should ban the Prime Minister from campaigning for at least 1 week.
Prasenjit,
for such
I
filthy
come back
things
to the
that he's
issue
saying,
of 1
and
minute, sir.
demeaning the position
No,
of the Prime Minister.
Prasenjit, I come back to redistribution of wealth. You know, Shankar, I'm sorry because of the long Chidambaram interview, we've had less time. I apologize for that, and we haven't therefore given you enough time. But tell me, as someone who's written about this extensively, what is the solution? Political parties, it's easy at election time to say we are going to reduce income inequalities. Is there a magic bullet out there?
But the subject has been discussed since 1950, Rajdeep. The first amendment of the Constitution allowed the government to do land reforms, which is basically enforce land ceiling for farmers. Thereafter, we've had several other ideas, freeway purses, nationalization, MRTP, Urban Land Ceiling Act. The issue is really this. At the political level and the economic level, there is an alignment at the bottom of the pyramid. So what is required to be done for the bottom of the pyramid is also a political compulsion. So what you're looking at now is how these things should play out. The question is that, and Shehzad Poonawalla should know that the 44th Amendment to the Constitution was passed in 1978 by the Janata Party government, where Article 31 and Article 19F has been changed. So normally, Shehzad, you are well informed, so I thought that this should help you. The point that if you see in the history of the last 30 or 40 years of economic policy, there is an aggravation since the 1991 reforms. But the 1991 reforms, if it had happened earlier, we would have had better income levels and better consumption levels. What we are doing today, if you look at the budget of India, the government of India spends 13,000 crores per day. It earns around 8,000 crores per day, and it has to borrow the remainder to fill the gap. What is this money being spent on? That tells you the reality of the situation. The solution that you ask for, Rajdeep, poverty is located in one single fact, that nearly half the population is dependent on 1/6 of the national income. That is agriculture. So this government and the previous governments have tried to move people away from agriculture into other occupations. The fact that this government has promoted the idea of national food security or free rations for 80 crore people, that they are covering healthcare costs for 50 crore people, that they have given 13 crore toilets, 12 crore Ujjwala gas cylinders. All of this is evidence that there is a problem at the bottom of the pyramid. Now, this bottom of the pyramid issue has to be addressed, and different parties have different approaches to it. The Congress party obviously believes that there is an opportunity of radical change. Now, this radical change has to be explained. The BJP has the track record to say that we have lifted X number of people out of poverty. Now, each of these questions is under challenge, and it will be decided by the voters. What India needs to do in terms of economic policy is to find more productive employment for its people and improve the productivity of the economy. So this debate could be more nuanced, could be more informed, but politics being what it is, Rajdeep, you are left with rhetoric.
You know, that is the worry. And as I end this debate, I will give 30 seconds, therefore, to each of my politicians, with you, Praveen Chakravarty, first. When, you know, the rhetoric needs to be replaced with specifics. Give me specific. Give me one specific thing you would do if there was a Congress-led government in power come June 4th. Very quickly.
We would first initiate the socio-economic caste census to understand the extent of the problem. And you ask for specific ideas. May I point out, and I think one of your other panelists just talked about it, which is the core problem is jobless growth. We can have GDP growth, but incomes are not trickling down. For that, we have very clear ideas. Right to apprenticeship. We said we will double economic output in 10 years. We said we will explore mining for strategic and critical minerals that will create 1.5 crore jobs. We said we will introduce an employment-linked incentive scheme for, in addition to the production-linked incentive scheme. We have very specific ideas for jobs at the bottom of the pyramid, and that is how we bridge the inequality gap. So please do not be like the Prime Minister. Read the manifesto. All specific ideas are there.
I've read the right to apprenticeship, which is an interesting idea, but we will still wait to see whether that can actually be enough to remove income inequalities and provide productive employment. Final word, Shehzad Poonawalla, before you again go and tweet that you haven't been given equal time and even put out a WhatsApp conversation with our guest coordinator, which I thought was bad form to do, but that's the nature of the world that we live in. So I will give you a final word on the one big thing the BJP will do come June 4th to address income inequalities. 30 seconds.
Some might say that not revealing the truth about the cash in parliament scam is also bad form. So let's not get into judging each other, Rajdeep. It will go into a very downhill place, which you would not like. I can stand up with my track record. Let me come to the point that I have to make. Rajdeep, since Mr. Praveen Chakravarty gave such great, brilliant ideas, did you ask him why the SECC version of the caste survey was not done in Karnataka, where his government is there? वहां पे तो डीके शिव कुमार ने मना कर दिया. हिमाचल में करके दिखा दो ना. हिमाचल में तो ये वादे कर दिए थे ना, 1500 रुपए प्रति महीना महिलाओं को देंगे, ये सारी चीजें की थी. किसको दिया इन्होंने? और इनसे पूछ लीजिए कि इतने रेवोल्यूशनरी आइडियाज है इनके, तो इनसे एक बार से पूछिए कि रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूशन होगा कैसे. When they say financial survey of
what's the one thing you would do, sir? Forget about what they do or don't do. What's the one thing, sir? What's the one thing they will do? 15 seconds.
I think the way the government has delivered in lifting people out of poverty, not just on paper by a slogan saying Garibi Hatao, but actually removing people out of Garibi by giving them empowerment, houses, tap water connections, better living, better healthcare facilities, housing for all, water for all. These things strengthen them to bring themselves up in a position where they can earn their own livelihood and are not dependent on Sarkar for patronage, but become stakeholders. But Rajdeep asked them that will this redistribution mean that Infosys's wealth,
sir, my time is up. My time is up. You know, you say dependent on government, but remember this is a government which says 80 crore Indians will be provided free ration. So it's not as if your government is also not providing welfare schemes which make people. No, we can debate this. This is fascinating to have for Prasenjit.
No, I know against 80 crore people.
Okay,
I am proud.
let's leave it. Let's leave it there. If you believe it is proud,
people on the plate.
Okay, 80 crore free ration you believe is a sign of pride. Whether that will remove income inequalities is another issue. We spoke about redistribution of wealth, income inequalities. We will carry forward this debate on another day with perhaps more time to all our guests. I appreciate all of you joining us. I thank you all very much. I'm glad at least that this election is forcing us to look at an issue which is important, income inequalities. When the top 1% in this country can corner more than 50% of the wealth, there are questions that will be asked. I appreciate all my guests joining me.